Hello everyone, I am back and I am working on 3D printing again. Go ahead and show you what's going on. Right now I am printing a car I designed, and here is what the car looks like. I just got these files back from my designer. There's one view, there's another one, and then there's a final one. This isn't exactly what the car is going to be like, but he and I, the designer and I, have been going back and forth at least a dozen times, and this is as close as we're getting for right now. I just need something to print to make sure it'll fit on a C8 chassis. I think I see some issues, and so before I had him fix some minor things, I thought I'd go ahead and print this out and then see if it'll fit. And if it won't, then go ahead and have the major things fixed. All right, now on my 3D printing journey, let me show you what I've got. Okay, this is the first part I was able to successfully print. It is a hood off of a Grand Sport. If you look, the surface finish is kind of rough. What I've concluded is I had the layer height set at 1 millimeter because the nozzle is 1 millimeter, or maybe it was 0.6 of a millimeter. I don't know, I've changed so many settings. But anyway, the reason the surface would be rough is because I told it, hey, every time you go in the Z distance, step either 0.6 of a millimeter or 1 millimeter, whatever it was set at. So obviously that's going to make this a stepped surface as it goes across. So I've concluded that's why that looks rougher than it should. This file over here I inherited from the previous guy that was working with the printer. And you can see that, again, this is only the second part that has completed without crashing and burning. It started out pretty good. This would be a good enough surface finish for us now. Because we're just using this as body parts, we need to assemble it and make sure everything's going to fit and work. That's what we care about more than anything else. It does have some surface finish issues. Later on in the print, you can see it started doing this. He had problems that it never would complete. I could see from all of these parts sitting around here that it would get to a certain point and then it would just screw up royally. Let me show you. Here he was trying to print a 1/8 scale car. Printed this, the outside part, kind of rough all over, but then it just literally just stops printing. Another part over here, you can see it printed up to a certain point, and if I drag it out, let me grab it just a second. So it looks like it started out printing okay, and then it just went crazy. So that's what I'm trying to do, is make sure that doesn't happen with my parts, but it looked like it consistently happened with almost everything he printed that I saw. All right. So we go back over here, and I could see that at least I got a lot better, but I see hints of that happening. I've asked and I have not been able to get a solid answer on what causes this. If I knew what causes it, then I could take measures to try to ensure it doesn't happen, but no one's been able to tell me. This is also a sign similar to what I was seeing on his stuff before it started crashing and burning, was it started looked like it wasn't really melting the material or something. Anyway, this is all new to me. I had changed, there's another spot that, like I said, it did great up until this part right here. Now it was printing sitting up like this, and so as it went up, you can see it got worse. This inside edge right here, I have no clue what's going on here, why that didn't work. And then this very top edge had some issues, and this over here. But this would be okay if it doesn't get any worse than this. So what I'm printing now is I am printing a 1/8 scale of this car, and I already have a radio controlled model of a C8 at 1/8 scale. So my plan is to take this body and mount it on the radio controlled car and at least have a toy of this car to play with. Here's where we are now. I just hit the print button. This printed a couple layers earlier and the print was screwed up and it was trying to print in thin air. So I went in, made some changes to it. I didn't want to make those changes because the changes involve putting this area right here, which is fill area. Because I'm using it for a radio control car, I just assumed this be a hollow shell. But when I tried to do that, it didn't print the support material down here, and it just started trying to print in thin air. It would print the center section, the support material, but then at these ends, there was nothing there. I did see it on the simulation, and I went, surely it's not going to do that, and it did. So I was hoping that there's 100 settings on these printer slicers, and I was hoping that out of the box, the standard settings would be good enough. What I'm finding is they're not. You have to go in and tweak even the standard settings out of the box. All right. Oh, and the other reason I didn't want to print the support material is without it, this is going to take 11 hours to print. With it, it's going to take 31 hours to print. Really didn't want to wait 31 hours to get this thing. But I actually had no choice. Hopefully with some more experience, I'll know how to tune these things and get it to work. Someone suggested it was a problem with the model itself, the 3D model that I tried to slice. I wouldn't doubt that because my designers are not 3D model people, not 3D printer people. They do 3D models for games and stuff like that. And so the things that matter for 3D printing don't matter to them. They're not significant. So I did not expect them to be able to fix that. Again, hopefully someday I'll be able to do my own 3D models or modify their 3D models and be able to get them ready to print before I try all this. But in the meantime, the alternative is just tell it, hey, print support material. The setting I set was, if I remember right, basically print support material wherever you think it should be, and I was going to let the program decide. Well, it didn't decide correctly and left it out where it needed to be. So instead I just said, fine, print support material everywhere. I just, one, don't need it, it's a waste, and two, I hate cutting that stuff out. It's a pain in the rear. But it'll work. So from here, the plan is 31 hours from now I'll have a part. The only question I have is how long do I sit here and wait before I trust it and walk off? The last piece that I just showed you printed about 2.5 hours. Actually, I didn't show you that one. Anyway, it printed about 2.5 hours, and then the extruder stopped extruding again. But again, it was also trying to print in thin air. So those two things made it to where I just had to stop and start all over again. All right, so that's it for now. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to, and if you don't know what I'm doing, you don't know jack. Bye.